23/23. The annual Thompson family reunion was in full swing when I pulled into Uncle Richard's driveway in my modest Toyota Camry. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his sprawling estate in Fairfax, Virginia, I could see the familiar tableau. My cousins displaying their latest achievements like trophies, my parents beaming with pride at everyone except me, and Uncle Richard orchestrating it all with his characteristic bombast. At 29, I'd learned to brace myself for these gatherings, the comparisons, the subtle digs, the way conversations died when I mentioned my job. But family was family, even when they made you feel like an unwelcome stranger at your own reunion. Mom intercepted me at the front door, her smile strained. "Emily, you're late." "Traffic from DC was heavier than expected," I said, smoothing my simple navy blazer. She looked me up and down with barely concealed disappointment. "I was hoping you'd dress up more. We're taking family photos later." She trailed off, but I caught her meaning. I wasn't successful enough to warrant prime placement in the family portrait. Inside, the house buzzed with updates on everyone's accomplishments. My cousin Lauren, Uncle Richard's daughter, was regaling guests with stories about her promotion to marketing director at a mid-sized firm in Atlanta. Her brother Connor was discussing his new Audi and the condo he had just purchased in Charlotte. The golden children, as always, commanded center stage. "Emily." Uncle Richard's booming voice cut through the chatter as he approached with his trademark backslapping enthusiasm. "How's the mailroom treating you?" I winced internally. Somehow my family had convinced themselves that I sorted mail for the government. I'd stopped correcting them years ago when it became clear they weren't actually listening. "It's going well, thanks," I replied diplomatically. "Still working those government hours, I bet. 9 to 5, union benefits. Can't complain about the job security." He chuckled, gesturing toward Lauren and Connor. "Not like these entrepreneurs here. But hey, steady work is nothing to be ashamed of." My cousin Lauren joined us, wine glass in hand. "Emily, Mom told me you're still at that postal thing. How reliable of you." Her smile was perfectly calibrated to appear kind, while delivering maximum condescension. "Actually, I work for State Department operations," I clarified quietly. Right. Lauren waved dismissively. "Government mail. I could never handle all that routine. I need intellectual stimulation, challenge strategy." Connor nodded sagely. "The private sector demands a different level of thinking. Innovation, risk-taking. Not that public service isn't valuable," he added with practiced diplomatic immunity, "but it's more of a maintenance role." Uncle Richard leaned in conspiratorially. "Between you and me, Emily, have you considered moving to the private sector? I've got connections. Maybe something in office administration. You've got the government experience." I felt my phone vibrate against my hip, the secure device, not my personal one. The diplomatic priority alert tone that meant something significant was developing somewhere in the world. I glanced down discreetly at the notification. Eastern European situation escalating. All senior staff to monitor developments. "That's very kind of you to offer," I said to Uncle Richard while my mind shifted into crisis management mode. "I'm pretty settled where I am." "Well, if you change your mind," he pressed, "can't hurt to aim higher, right? You're still young enough to pivot into something more substantial." Lauren nodded earnestly. "Exactly. You could totally transition into corporate communications. I mean, you probably handle lots of internal memos and filing, right? That's basically what corporate communications is." My secure phone buzzed again, this time more urgent. NATO allies requesting immediate consultation. Crisis escalation imminent. "If you'll excuse me," I said politely, "I need to step outside and take this call." Uncle Richard laughed. "See? Always on call. That's government work for you. No respect for family time. Probably her supervisor checking on weekend mail delivery schedules." He stage whispered to Lauren and Connor as I walked away. I stepped onto the patio and pulled out my secure phone. The situation briefing was alarming. A rapidly developing crisis that would require immediate diplomatic intervention. Multiple NATO allies were requesting emergency consultations, and preliminary intelligence suggested this could escalate into a full-scale international incident within hours. My fingers moved quickly across the encrypted keyboard, sending confirmations and requesting additional intelligence briefings. This wasn't just another routine diplomatic dust-up. This was the kind of crisis that would be front-page news tomorrow and studied in international relations courses for decades. Through the patio doors, I could see my family continuing their festivities, blissfully unaware that their mailroom relative was currently coordinating one of the most significant diplomatic responses of the year. The party continued inside while I managed increasingly urgent diplomatic communications from Uncle Richard's back patio. The Eastern European situation was deteriorating rapidly. Intelligence reports suggested a potential military confrontation that could trigger Article 5 of the NATO treaty. I was coordinating response protocols with allies across 3 time zones, while my family debated whether the potato salad needed more seasoning. Emily's always been the serious one, I heard Mom explaining to someone through the open door. Very responsible, perfect personality for government work, following procedures, handling paperwork. Not everyone can be a leader. I paused in my typing to process that comment. 20 minutes earlier, I'd been on a secure video call with the Deputy Secretary of Defense, but in my mother's mind I was filing documents somewhere in a basement office. My cousin Connor wandered outside, beer in hand. Hey, sorry about all the work stuff. Must be rough having to deal with office drama even on weekends. Something like that, I murmured, waiting for him to go back inside before continuing my encrypted communications. He continued, settling into a patio chair, I've been thinking about what Uncle Richard said about private sector opportunities. My company's always looking for people with government experience. Administrative roles mostly, but the benefits are decent. My secure phone rang. An encrypted call from Brussels. I'm sorry, Connor. I really need to take this. He waved understandingly. Sure. Supervisor checking in. I walked to the far end of the patio before answering. Henderson here. Emily, this is Director Walsh. How quickly can you get to the embassy? We need our senior crisis management specialist on site immediately. I glanced back at the party. I'm at a family gathering about 90 minutes out. What's our timeline? NATO emergency session convenes in 3 hours. We need preliminary response options within 2. Can you coordinate remotely until we get you back here? Already on it. I've got secure comms and full access. Send me the latest intelligence updates, and I'll have response frameworks ready within the hour. Outstanding. This is Priority Alpha. Emily, the secretary specifically requested you on this. As I ended the call, Lauren appeared at the patio door. Emily, we're starting the family photos. Mom wants everyone who's, actually successful in the main shots. I looked at her carefully. Actually successful. She flushed slightly. I mean everyone who's doing well career-wise, making an impact. You understand. Where would you like me to stand? Oh, you don't need to be in the main family photo. Maybe we'll do a separate shot with all the extended family later. The cousins who are still finding their way. I nodded slowly. Finding my way while coordinating NATO's response to a potential international crisis. My secure phone buzzed with the intelligence updates from Brussels. Satellite imagery, intercepted communications, ally response capabilities. I had 37 minutes to synthesize it all into actionable diplomatic options. I'll be right there, I told Lauren. Just finishing up this work call. She rolled her eyes. Mail emergencies on a Saturday. That's so typical of government inefficiency. As she went back inside, I opened the intelligence files. The situation was worse than initially reported. What had started as a border dispute was showing signs of being a coordinated provocation designed to test NATO's response protocols. The kind of crisis that could reshape European security architecture, if handled incorrectly. I could hear Uncle Richard inside holding court about the importance of taking initiative in business. You can't wait for someone else to tell you what to do, he was saying. Leadership means making decisions, taking responsibility, shaping outcomes. That's the difference between followers and leaders. Ironic, considering I was currently shaping international outcomes while he pontificated about leadership to a living room full of middle managers. My analysis was taking shape. 3 response scenarios, each with detailed risk assessments and ally coordination requirements. The secretary would have options that could either de-escalate the situation diplomatically or position NATO for more robust responses if needed. Through the window, I watched my family pose for photos. Mom beaming at Lauren and Connor, Uncle Richard gesturing grandly about something, Everyone arranged to showcase the family's success stories. They looked so confident, so sure of their place in the world. My phone rang again, this time an unsecured number. I recognized the Secretary of State's direct line. Inside the house, someone was calling my name for the extended family photo. Time to make a choice. I answered the call from the Secretary of State just as Uncle Richard appeared at the patio door, clearly annoyed. "Emily Rose Henderson speaking," I said into the phone, maintaining eye contact with my uncle. "Emily, this is Secretary Morrison. I'm calling personally because we need you to take point on the NATO crisis response. The President has been briefed, and we're implementing your recommended framework immediately." Uncle Richard's expression shifted from annoyance to confusion as he registered the formality in my voice. "Understood, Madam Secretary. I can be at the embassy within 90 minutes. Actually, that won't be necessary. We're bringing the embassy to you. My helicopter is en route to your location. We'll establish a secure command center on site." Your analysis was brilliant, Emily. Exactly the kind of strategic thinking we need in this situation. I glanced at Uncle Richard, who was now staring at me with growing alarm. "Yes, ma'am. I'll clear the area and prepare for your arrival. See you in 20 minutes. Emily, the President specifically mentioned your work on this. Well done." As I ended the call, Uncle Richard found his voice. "Emily, who was that?" "Secretary of State Morrison. She's coming here, to your house." Before I could respond further, the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors began growing louder overhead. Uncle Richard's face went completely white. "Emily, what exactly is your job?" "Senior Crisis Management Specialist, State Department Operations Center. I coordinate NATO emergency response protocols and provide strategic analysis for international security threats." The helicopter was visible now, circling Uncle Richard's property. Neighbors were emerging from their houses, pointing at the sky. Uncle Richard stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing without sound. My personal phone started ringing. "Mom." I answered while walking back toward the house. "Emily, there's a helicopter circling Uncle Richard's house. Are you okay? Should we call the police?" "No need to call anyone, Mom. The helicopter's here for me." "For you? What do you mean for you?" I stepped through the patio doors just as the helicopter touched down on Uncle Richard's pristine lawn, its rotors whipping the meticulously maintained landscaping into chaos. Secret Service agents were already deploying across the property. The family reunion had transformed into a frozen tableau. Lauren stood with her mouth agape, her wine glass forgotten in her hand. Connor had gone pale, staring out the window as black SUVs pulled into the driveway behind the helicopter. Mom looked like she might faint. "Emily," she whispered into the phone, though I was standing right in front of her. "What is happening?" "The Secretary of State is here for an emergency NATO consultation. I need to establish a secure communication center." "Uncle Richard, I'll need to use your home office." Uncle Richard nodded mutely, still staring at the helicopter disgorging official personnel onto his lawn. Lauren finally found her voice. "You said you worked in the mailroom." "No," I corrected gently. "You assumed I worked in the mailroom. I've been managing international crises for the past 6 years." Secretary Morrison appeared at the front door, flanked by security personnel. She spotted me immediately. "Emily, ready to prevent a war?" The family reunion, it seemed, was about to become a footnote in international diplomatic history. The next 3 hours transformed Uncle Richard's sprawling estate into the most secure diplomatic facility in suburban Virginia. Secretary Morrison established command operations in the living room where we'd been planning family photos. NATO allies joined by secure video from the dining room. The kitchen became a secure communications hub. My family watched in stunned silence as I coordinated with world leaders, analyzed real-time intelligence, and provided strategic recommendations that would prevent what could have become NATO's most serious crisis in decades. When the immediate threat was neutralized and the secretary departed, she made a point of thanking me publicly. "Emily's analysis may have prevented a war today," she announced to the assembled family before boarding her helicopter. "The president will be calling personally to express his gratitude." The aftermath was swift and devastating for those who had dismissed me. Uncle Richard's business network, built on his reputation as a connected insider, crumbled when word spread that he'd excluded the senior State Department official in his own family from the center of family photos. Lauren's marketing firm lost government contracts when clients learned about her treatment of a key diplomatic coordinator. Connor's networking events became ghost towns as people realized he'd spent years mocking someone with direct access to international decision-makers. Mom never recovered from the humiliation of having told neighbors that her daughter sorted mail. The local news coverage, Local Woman Coordinates International Crisis Response from Family Reunion, became a permanent reminder of her misjudgment. I never attended another Thompson family reunion. I was usually too busy preventing international incidents, advising world leaders, and doing work that actually mattered. The extended family photo they had planned for me was never taken, but the photo of me briefing the Secretary of State in Uncle Richard's living room made it into several history books.